As the light from the door touched the center of the machine, a dreadful echo spread throughout the hall. Himanshu smiled and said, "Now show me if your power can break the standards I have set." Aryan looked up from the ground towards Himanshu. In his eyes, there was not just exhaustion, there was a resolute decision. Anvi stood beside him, holding a blood-stained chess piece, a symbol of both promise and chains. Adifir stood behind, his face a blend of dirt and tears. Himanshu raised his hand, and red letters began to race across the cortex chamber screen. "Activate final stage," he commanded. The machine began to tremble and resonate, as if awakening a dormant power. Aryan stepped forward and declared, "I will not be your pawn." There was a slight tremor in his voice, but the words were firm. Anvi nodded. "We are not your experiments. We are human beings." What happened next was decisive for all three, and for life itself. Aryan directed his powers, the energy he felt within himself. He connected it to the machine's pulse. He knew, if he channeled all that power into the machine, both the cortex chamber and Himanshu's formidable force would be destroyed. But the risk was that he might have to pay the price with his own identity, and perhaps his life. Anvi cried out, "No, I will not leave you alone." Adifir stepped forward and took both their hands. "Together, we will end this." The three stood in a line before Himanshu's astonished face, and Aryan said one last time, "If this world is to be saved from our deaths, then this is the price I must pay." Aryan poured all his energy into the machine. The blue light encircled the red. The machine emitted a shrill scream, and then, like a sudden explosion, everything went cold. The lights in the cortex chamber went out. The lines on the screen froze. Fear filled Himanshu's eyes for a moment, and then darkness. When the smoke cleared, silence enveloped the hall. The machines lay shattered, wires charred. Himanshu's place was empty, no body, no trace. On his chair lay a piece of paper, with lines written in thick, blood-like ink. "The game is not over." But in the corner of that paper, someone had drawn a smiley in a slow, unrecognizable manner, as if someone knew he had pretended to concede. Aryan lay on the ground. His breaths were slow. Anvi and Adifir both fell beside him. Doctors and police arrived at the scene. Aryan's eyes slowly opened. His voice was very faint, but clear. "Now we will not let it end." The final report stated, "Cortex chamber destroyed. Himanshu's true identity still uncertain. Some clues found, but no arrests made." The city breathed a sigh of relief. Criminals were falling, recordings of those experiments were destroyed, and those whose lives were affected by the project began to return to normal. But in the end, as a small epilogue, months later, Anvi and Adifir stood on an old bridge. Aryan had returned home, but the distant spark remained in his eyes, a calm yet vigilant identity. Like and subscribe.